Are you ready for the relatives to come? Gather ye round, it is about to be Thanksgiving time. Hi, I'm Marilyn Price with the Mentor Project and about to tell with you, get you ready for my personal favorite holiday, which is Thanksgiving, coming up. Now, I also believe that every day should be a day we give thanks. So this story not only works all year round, because it reminds us of gathering, but it also is just such a great story. And it was written by, I'm going to get the book to show you, Cynthia Rylant, and illustrated so beautifully by Stephen Gamble. A little bit about them. Cynthia Ryland is a author and a librarian. Could you possibly have a better job ever? She has written over 100 books, many award-winning books. This one in particular won a Caldecott, not only for the book, but also for the art by Stephen Gamble. Stephen Gamble, for those of you who like scary books, illustrated Alvin Schwartz's Stories to Tell, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which even now makes me kind of shiver with excitement and quiver with delight. So the story we're about to tell actually takes place in the summer, but it works now. Actually, it works anytime the relatives come. I'm going to tell it to you, but I thought first we ought to set the table, so to speak, for our puppet story. And let's see, what are we going to use at our table? I don't know about you, but on many holidays, I like to serve something that I learned about from my grandma or my mom, or even aunts and uncles, anybody who cooked something so yummy that you say, I think I want that again. That's what this story always reminds me of. So I go into my recipe file and I found, I'm just to show it to you. I'm not to show it to you to make necessarily, although plum coffee cake is awfully good. But look at this recipe. Do you think it looks kind of old, tattered with ingredients and old age? It is. It used to be a white card, but now it's just a delicious, yummy, spattered with ingredients, yellowed card with age. So I like to make that one around plum time, which is actually around when this story we're about to hear was written. And then I also have this one. This was my grandma's favorite. It's the applesauce cake. So, hey, lots of dessert. And that's the way it should be. And this cake I love because whenever she made it, brought it to my house, it was always missing a little tiny square in the corner because she wanted to taste it just to make sure it was good enough for us. I love that about her. So let's set the table. When I was out looking for things, I thought, what would make such funky puppets? And there, in my grocery store, was hanging together a family of ladles, front and backs. And I'm going to cook with them. So I didn't want to change them in any way. I didn't want to draw on them, but I don't need to. Look at that. It's ready to go. But I thought, and you'll know why when I tell you the story, they need arms to hug. So I took a pipe cleaner. Oops. Thought I stretched out his arms. And I just wrapped it around where his or her head could be. Because the cool part about this puppet is, it could be either one. So this is a character for a hugging. And so lovely. When you're sitting around the table, you have a fork before you use it, and it's nice and clean, and you have a pipe cleaner, you can even turn it into a character to tell a story with, or talk to the person next to you. Well, how do you do? I'm so glad to meet you. Would you like a hug? Well, I think I need to give you, wait a second. I know a perfect hug. Oh, who's that? To me? Sure. So, could they hug? Yes, they could. Nice and safely, too, I must say. So, here's our story for today. Before we start it, we need a family who lives right here. They're going to live in this bowl that I've set before you. And the reason they are is because you will see how they all interact. I'm hoping that they will all fit. I brought this along. It's this really cool clip. And it's cool because it clips on, and my puppets can just sit. Look at that. And this is them. Okay. Wait, we need another character for our story. If we call them the, oh, and see how their arms entwine? How cool is that, right? Well, here's another one. We're going to call them the ladles. Cleverly enough, huh? So here's the other ladle. I'm not even going to tell you if they're mama or papa, grandma or grandpa ladle, but they live here. And maybe where is here? Here is wherever you are. So I'm here, and if I were to ask you where you were, you'd tell me you're here too. So, but I don't see you right now, so I guess you're there. Okay, here's my family. And should I be in this too, or should I help tell the story? I think I'll be the storyteller today. All right, can you see everybody? I'm going to lift them up just a little bit. Oh, yeah. You know, as a matter of fact, that is a great idea. I'm going to lift them up just a tiny bit even higher. Wow, yeah, all right. The relatives came. I don't know who's going to be gathering around your table. I don't even know at this point who's going to be gathering around mine. And I don't even know what table it could be. It could be a Friday night. It could be a Thanksgiving. It could be any of the holidays. But wherever we gather, we do say thanks. Thanks for coming, as I say to you. And our story goes like this. Would you like to tell us the first line? Mm-hmm. It was in the summer of the year when the relatives came. They came up from Virginia. They left their grapes, nearly purple enough to pick, but not quite. Here they come. They had an old station wagon that smelled like a real car, and in it they put an ice chest full of soda pop and some boxes of crackers and some bologna sandwiches. And up they came from Virginia. They left at 4 a.m. when it was still dark, before even the birds were awake. They drove all day long and into the night, and while they traveled along, they looked at the strange houses and different mountains, and they thought about their almost purple grapes behind. They thought about Virginia, but they thought about us waiting for them. So they drank up all of their pop and ate all their crackers and traveled up all those miles, and finally they pulled into our yard. And then it was hugging time. Those relatives just passed us around their car, pulling us against their wrinkled clothes, crying sometimes. They hugged us for hours and hours. Let's have some hugging here. Yay. Okay, we're hugging. Gonna get inside and hug. Cool. Then it was into the house, for so much laughing and shining faces and hugging in the doorways. You have to go through at least 4 different hugs to get from the kitchen to the front door. Those relatives. And finally, after a big supper, oops, Mom has to come to the table, 2 or 3 times around, until they all had a turn at the table, there was quiet talk. And there we were, in 2s and 3s throughout the house. The relatives weren't particular about beds, which was good, since there weren't any extras. So if you squeezed in with us, and the rest of us slept on the floor, some with their arms thrown over the closest person, or some with an arm across one person and a leg across another. It was different going to sleep with all those breathing in the house. The relatives stayed for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. They helped us tend the garden, and they fixed any broken things they could find. They ate up all of our strawberries and melons, and then promised they would eat up all their grapes and peaches when we came to Virginia. Finally, after a long time, relatives loaded up their ice chests and headed back to Virginia at 4 in the morning. We waved goodbye. We watched the relatives disappear down the road, and then we crawled back into our beds that felt too big and too quiet, and we all fell asleep. And when they were finally home in Virginia, they crawled into their silent, soft beds and dreamed about next summer. The relatives came. They hugged and hugged and hugged. A story by Cynthia Rylant, illustrated by Stephen Gamble. When you gather together with anyone you love, even if you're on the phone, and isn't that a good time to tell somebody you love them? Think about all the joys and the pleasures. Think about a character who can give you a hug, gently and carefully. Every good hug means you grow another inch, mentally, if not physically. As for me, I have thanks to the Mentor Project, and I have thanks to you for coming. I have thanks to the Kaufman Family Foundation, to Tri-Braining Inc., to all the people that helped put this show together, to Debbie and Jibby, Aiden, Tina. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can listen to a podcast of this very program. But for today, I would like to say to you, I hope that your day is a good one, a day of really good wishes. And you, Marilyn Price Puppet, would you like to say goodbye and thank you? Goodbye and thank you. Can you blow them a kiss? I sure can. I'm a puppet. Oh, that was a good one.